Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Welcome back to Entrepreneur Middle East. With me today is a very special guest, and if you ever wondered, how can you open a company here in the UAE? This is the right man for you. George Hojeige, he's the Group CEO of Virtuzone. Such a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Mina. It's a pleasure to be here.
How's your morning so far?
So far, so good. You got a great team here, and the setup's perfect, so we're very happy.
Thank you. We're absolutely delighted to have you today, and I'm very excited to have this conversation and actually learn on all the little perks and details of how it is to open up a company here in the UAE. So just to kick things off, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did this journey begin for you? Take us back in time.
All right. So my name is George Hojeige, as you said. I'm Lebanese, born in Lebanon. Grew up in Canada, in Montreal, and I moved to Dubai in 2005, which was 20 years ago. So I've been here for 20 years. I'm an engineer by education, and I've worked in a lot of different fields. I don't have your typical career, if you want. So I've worked in engineering, in telecoms, in medical equipment. I've worked in construction with a family business.
You've been everywhere.
I've been a bit all over, and we also have a common thing that we both worked in media at ITP back in the day, and I've been Group CEO of Virtuzone for 8 years now, and that's what I do. So a lot of different things, not a typical career, but a very enriching career.
But at the end of the day, I think that's what makes you a successful entrepreneur, right? You've tried it all, you've tested it all, you've seen what you were good at.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's important to diversify, to have fun, to enjoy, to learn new things, to meet new people. And you know, in an industry like construction, for example, you don't tend to meet a lot of people, but you tend to learn a lot of things. You tend to learn responsibilities, deadlines, so on and so forth. Whereas in media, you know, you meet a lot of people. It's a lot more of a fun job if you want, but it's not the same.
No sleep.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the same set of responsibilities or whatever it is. So very important to diversify. For me anyway, it's not for everyone, but I've had a very diverse type of career, and that's how I enjoy it. And I'm very happy that I did.
That's incredible. And I mean, that's Dubai for you as well, I think.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit now about Virtuzone. Obviously, we're going to focus a lot on that in today's conversation.
Yeah, so Virtuzone is the biggest corporate services provider in the region. For people who don't know what, or our listeners who don't know what corporate services are, basically when you start up a business, there's a set of activities that you need to do to build and run the business. So anything from trade licenses to visas to bank account openings, accounting, taxation, VAT registration, filing, all these things.
The boring stuff.
The boring stuff, if you want. Yeah, you said it, not me. But
no
basically, the idea is we take care of the stuff while you focus on running your business, right? And when you're starting a business, you don't necessarily have the funds to hire an accountant and a lawyer and all these things. So we basically provide those services at relatively low cost because we do volume. So that's why we've been so successful.
Do you think Dubai was the perfect place to open this sort of business up?
I think we're very fortunate. I think with timing, look, in the last 20 years, Dubai has grown tremendously. I think the government as well has helped because they've obviously been incredibly pioneering in terms of infrastructure reforms and all that. So Dubai has attracted a very, very, very large number of entrepreneurs and startups and so on. And yeah, to say we were at the right place at the right time, I think we started the right business at the right time rather than we were just lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
And what was that turning point for you in Virtuzone? I mean, how did you start attracting clients?
There's a lot of turning point in the history of the company. I think, look, one of the first of all, we were pioneers in terms of starting to sell free zone licenses in Dubai, sometimes from Northern Emirates or from different Emirates and so on and so forth. Then one of the turning points was when licenses started to become commoditized. I mean, we had so many people that were selling or helping people set up companies and trade licenses and so on. We decided to take a corporate services turn where we started introducing all the new services such as accounting, taxation, bank account opening and all that. That was a huge step. The second one is obviously when corporate tax was announced and corporate tax was introduced. Yeah, I mean, you know, so where else in the world are you going to have a green field of companies where, you know, they've never had corporate tax before and now all of a sudden they have to file their corporate taxes. So we saw an opportunity there. We started an accounting firm where we do accounting, taxation, and all that. And we actually grew up to be the biggest, in 3 years now, we've grew up to be the biggest accounting firm in the Middle East in terms of number of clients. Obviously not in terms of billings because the big four are huge, but in terms of number of clients, which is incredible. Today we have over 7,000 accounting clients with tax ready.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So there's a lot of turning points. You know, COVID, we'll talk about that, I guess, a bit later, but taught us how to become agile and how to maneuver around things. It was very difficult to lead a company through COVID for any leader, not just for me. Yeah, I mean, a lot of turning points, and that's what keeps it exciting, and that's how you grow, right? You grow by learning, and you grow by not fearing anything, and by always being forward-looking.
And how many companies do you manage to help launch per month?
So we've set up over our history over 80,000 companies. Today we set up about 500 new companies a month. So it's quite a number.
That's incredible.
It's quite a number.
What sectors do you guys cover? Do they usually come in and they want something in construction?
So we cover all sectors. Look, business is a bit like fashion, right? There's trends. So obviously there was a time where we saw a lot of construction, where we saw a lot of, when Dubai was still developing before it became a mature economy, we saw a lot of trading, we saw a lot of services and so on and so forth. Today, with the trend, we're seeing a lot of tech companies, fintech companies, e-commerce, e-commerce, and these type of companies. Yeah, so we roll with the times, like they say.
Would you say you have like a challenging sector that's a bit more?
I think there's a lot to do still in manufacturing. We don't see a lot of manufacturing companies coming in. The government has put in place amazing schemes and stimuli for companies that want to manufacture here. We're starting to see it slowly on small scales, but we haven't seen the big manufacturing come in yet. But I think that's the future.
Do you remember any sort of personal story of a company that you helped launch that really, like touched your heart and you remember it as something?
There's so many, Mina. I mean, there's so many companies that, and everybody has a story. When an entrepreneur is starting a company, it's a bit like he's giving birth, right? He's giving birth to somebody. So the love and affection that you see for that project, and how much they care about it, and how much they're worried, and the budgets that they have. We see all kinds of different budgets. You see big groups coming in wanting to open a company, not even ask about the price. Then you have the guys that are coming in and the guy has $10,000 and that's all he has to start his business, and it's do or die. So you really live it with the entrepreneurs. But we've seen companies that have grown with us over the years, starting from nothing, and now that have become multinationals. Even we have.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But would you say that entrepreneurship is a lonely journey?
Is it what? Sorry.
Lonely journey. Because most entrepreneurs I speak to,
it definitely is. It definitely is. It's more than a lonely journey. It's a roller coaster journey, right? So when you start a company, when you're an entrepreneur, first of all, not everybody can be an entrepreneur, right? You have to have that mindset. You have to have that drive, and you have to have you need to want it from inside, right? From your heart, you really want it, because it's not an easy journey. It's easy to set up, but being an entrepreneur in a successful business is not an easy journey. So you need to be able to have that drive to continue no matter what, because you're going to have some days where you're going to wake up and say, I'm the king or the queen of the world, and there's some days where you're going to wake up and say, what the hell have I done?
So done, yeah.
What have I done? So in order to be able to be successful, you got to go through these ups and downs until you stabilize, and then at some point you know that your company's doing well. If it's lonely, yes, but we try to make it less lonely, because we try to give as much support as possible. And we're now
that's great.
We're now over 250 employees. So imagine you have all these employees at your service, and you're able to pick our brains on how to do this or do that, and we offer you all the services that you need. So yeah, it could be a lonely journey. But I think more importantly, it's an emotional roller coaster as a journey, but so rewarding when things settle down.
Right. Now that you have so many clients, do you pick and choose your founders wisely? Is there specific traits that you look?
So we don't. Of course, we don't pick and choose our clients. We kind of tool ourselves towards the trend of the moment. So if we see that there's a certain industry that's attracting a lot of attention, where people are setting up in that industry, we try to tool our services towards that industry. No, of course we don't pick or choose. We're not incubators, so we don't invest in the companies that we start up.
You're open to helping everyone.
We simply offer them a service to set up.
Right, I see. But all these challenges, let's say, that are happening around the world, I suppose that Dubai does benefit a lot from it, in the sense of everyone that does have conflict worldwide, they come over to Dubai.
Absolutely.
Whether you said COVID, there was war between Russia and Ukraine, we spoke about it earlier. How did such events, they support you, right?
The strongest thing that the Dubai government have for them is agility, right? And they are, to me, by far the most agile government in the world. We saw it during COVID. things were changing on a daily basis. One announcement, everybody gets in line. Another announcement, make it tougher, make it easier, depending on reading the parameters and so on and so forth. And I've been here 20 years, Mina. The reforms in infrastructure, the reforms in legislation that have been done are just incredible. I mean, we now have one of the best legislation frameworks in the world for entrepreneurs, for businesses. We have common law under the IFC and ADGM. We have very, very strong frameworks. Also, in terms of barriers of entry, I mean, Dubai is open for business for everyone. And we've seen it happen over the years. Every time there is a crisis somewhere in the world, people are just pouring into Dubai because it's such a welcoming business environment. Geographically speaking, you're between east and west. Economically speaking, there's so much capital here that to fund businesses and to do trade. Infrastructure speaking, you have everything you need. You have a lot of real estate. You have all the technology that you need. You have talent. People want to come to Dubai. So it's really a mix of amazing. I don't want to say coincidence because it's not a coincidence. It was built that way.
Yeah, it was thought through.
But parameters that make it an incredible place to start a business. And yes, every time there's a crisis in the world, Dubai is the first thing that comes to mind.
Have you seen that entrepreneurial landscape evolve in the last 2 decades that you were here?
Absolutely. Look, when I came here 20 years ago, Dubai was a very transient economy. So people would come here, set up a business, perhaps to bill some of their clients around the world from here, and then they'd go back, their families would be back home, and then they'd go back and forth or come on holiday. Today, we're seeing a major difference in mentality of the people who are coming here. So they're now coming here, they're bringing their capital, they're buying houses, they're bringing their families, they're putting their children in school. People are starting to talk, not starting actually, people have been talking about retirement. I hope to be able to retire, or at least partially retire in Dubai. You didn't hear that 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So the economy has definitely changed. People now want to use Dubai as a hub, as really their headquarters and the center of their business, rather than just a branch or an office that's used for tax purposes or whatever you want to call it.
The trust is there now as well, I think.
Absolutely. It's become a mature economy, definitely.
Yeah.
Again, if you look around which businesses are here, that gives you a lot of confidence to say, well, if these guys are here, then I'm probably doing the right thing to be here as well.
Right. Now, I have a little keyword here that I wrote, which is Singapore. Would you like to talk about that a bit?
Absolutely. Why not? So in December 2024, which was last December. Drum roll. In December 2024, which was last December, we got acquired by a group from Singapore called Essentium, a platform from Singapore called Essentium, which basically is building a corporate services company for, I would say, in general, the global south, if not worldwide. We'd have offices spanning from Japan all the way to the Caribbean. They're backed by big private equity from Hong Kong. And this is probably the best thing that's ever happened to Virtuzone. It was a natural next step for us to go global. And with this deal, it was the best way for us to grow globally and grow fast.
So this was definitely something that you wanted?
Absolutely. It was something that was in the plans. And
you were looking for it, right? It didn't just...
We were looking for it. What do they say? You attract what you...
That's what I was saying.
Yeah. So
you manifested it.
We manifested it. We were thinking of what the next steps were, and it came to us. We're super happy. I mean, it's a great group of individuals at Essentium with great vision, and they're really in line with our values and our culture. And it was a natural next step for us. And we're now, we can now serve our customers from 22 countries and 44 offices worldwide, which is amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that, the values part, just because a lot of times when companies do get acquired, sometimes it becomes extremely difficult because a part of you does leave and you have no right to, or no say anymore within the company. I think that it's very important that you guys still have that, right?
So it's a good point you bring up, because not every acquisition is good.
Yeah.
And that's why I encourage founders or SME owners to really think about what kind of acquisition they're getting in. It's very important. Sometimes we get excited about the money, or you get excited about the exit or whatever it is, but it's very important to be in line with the people acquiring you, both in terms of value, culture, vision for the future, and so on and so forth. And that's why I say our marriage with Essentium was really a match made in heaven, because we have the same vision and we have the same culture or we both have the same vision and culture. So today we're perfectly aligned in terms of where we want to take the business and how we want to take the business there. Of course, when you're dealing with a bigger entity, you have more governance, you have more compliance, you have more. These are good things to have, right? Because when you're a small business, you tend to be a bit cowboyish and, family business. You'll do it, you're hustling and all that. But they will come and softly put in a framework that makes sure that you're much more organized.
Uplift you in a way,
exactly,
right?
than you were. Get you organized to scale, right? Because you can scale up to a certain level. After that scale, if you're scaling internationally, you really have to be organized. And this is something that not everybody has.
100%. I'm thinking, how many countries are you guys dealing with now then?
So we are now present in 22 jurisdictions.
Okay.
44 offices worldwide. And again, spanning from Japan all the way to the Caribbean.
So would you be open to advise your potential clients, maybe a better location for them to open up something of their own?
If you
would
want,
you cross?
If you want
it?
an honest answer, the clients that we have today in Dubai, there is no better location for them to open than in Dubai. Now, if they're going to grow, then definitely Southeast Asia is very interesting. Hong Kong is very interesting. Singapore is very interesting.
Definitely.
For offshore jurisdictions, for legal purposes, BVI, Cayman Islands, all that. It's something that's very, very, very important to structure your company 100%. Properly.
But it's great because now you have that opportunity to say, okay, if you want to
now we do it in-house, right?
You
so
can
now
do it in-house.
we do it in-house. We have offices in London, we have offices in the Caribbean, like I said, we have offices in South America, Latam. We have in Hong Kong, Vietnam. I mean, it's countless number of offices.
Great. Okay. I wanted to speak to you a little bit about you personally, your leadership styles, your thoughts on entrepreneurship. So how are you as a leader? How would you describe yourself as a leader? I mean, being group CEO, there's a lot of things.
Look, if I had to summarize it, I would say tough but fair.
You need to be tough.
I'm not a micromanager.
Okay.
So I don't micromanage at all. I empower and trust my people, but I demand results. And I think if you want aggressive growth for a business, and if you want to be always at the forefront or leading the pack, you must demand excellence, right? And at the very least, operational excellence. I'm very hands-on. I'm not a micromanager, but I'm very hands-on. I really care about the business, so I will be involved in a lot of different parts of the business. But I treat my people very fairly. I trust them, and I take good care of them. We take good care of our. It's very important for us, and this is another thing where we're very aligned with Essentium, is our people come first, right? It's very important for us. This is a service company, right? Service is all about the people. It's not, we don't have products, we don't have assets, we don't have inventory, we don't have any of that. Our wealth is our people and the way they service our clients. So we take very good care of them. That's one thing. The other thing is that we're always forward looking. As you might have noticed, or some people might have, we always get copied in the industry, right? So we always come up with something, and then everybody copies it. In order to do that, you always have to be forward thinking, and you always have to think about the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And that's a good thing because it challenges you. It challenges you, and it helps you to keep growing. So very forward-looking as a leader. I'm always looking at the next technologies. We just set up an AI and tech committee.
I want to say you're tech savvy.
Look, I'm an engineer. I'm not going to say that I'm tech savvy. I'm probably not as tech savvy as an AI engineer.
But would you use AI in your business?
Well, that's the thing. So I think that it's very important that we use AI in our business. And we've just set up an AI committee in-house. I can reassure you, like we were saying before, that the average age is about 25 or 26, which reassures me as well, because the younger generation is so switched on 100%. To AI and so on. So we have an AI committee that's tasked with every head of department has to submit some projects that they think would be enhanced by AI and so on and so forth. And that committee is enhanced with basically evaluating these projects and putting them into real life.
Amazing.
So, yeah,
amazing.
Very important. Yeah.
Wow. How would you define the word success? What is success to you?
That's a difficult question. Success can manifest itself in so many different ways. Look, I don't think that success is actually the end game or an achievement. Success is a continuous type of thing that you pursue, which is why so many people are basically unhappy, right? So
that led me to my next question.
Yeah. So if I said success is X, and then when I get to X, what happens? Is it over? Is it what do you define another success? Or
so it doesn't equal money.
Not necessarily. I think success is having a company that's growing. In terms of business, I'm talking, or are you talking in terms of personal?
Both.
Well, in terms of business, I think success is always being.
You cannot count yourself successfully personally if your business is failing, for example.
That's correct. But let's define it from a business perspective. From a business perspective, I would say that success is always being able to grow, always being forward-looking, always being able to innovate, always being able to pioneer things, and obviously making money, right? If you're not, and that's my personal view on it, right? Somebody coming from an NGO is not going to talk about money, right? He's going to say success is being able to save 1 million people or being able to help, 50,000 people in Africa.
But even that, you cannot do it for free. You need.
Yeah, but it's not about making money. It's about you need the funding and so on. But as a businessman and as a CEO of a for-profit organization, if you want, obviously success comes with also growth in profit and revenues and all that. But more importantly, success is defined as always being at the forefront of your industry and being regarded as the top company or one of the best in your industry. And that's how it defines for the business. For me as an individual, how would I define success? Look, I'd be lying to you if there was no financial aspect to it. Obviously, we live in a place that's all about open capitalism and financial success. But more importantly, I think is happiness. Success has to be happiness. You're successful if you're happy, if your family is happy, if you're happy, if you're safe.
Healthy.
Thank God here, healthy. If you have all these things, then that's success. So if the problem with Dubai or the challenge with Dubai, I would say, is if you're comparing yourself to the next guy, there's always better than you. If it's financially, there's always better.
You're never good enough.
There's always better than you, better looking than. There's richer than you, better looking than you, taller than you, stronger than you, funnier than you, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So there's no point in doing that. You gotta gauge it towards your happiness and what makes you happy.
Oh, but you're gonna be shocked the amount of interviews that I've done where you obviously are speaking to a person and they're extremely successful, but they're not happy internally.
So I've had that discussion with a friend of mine actually recently. The famous saying, more money, more problems, or whatever it is. But it's look, the reverse side of the medal is that you also realize that money is not everything, because we have so much access to money and we have so visibility of money here that money doesn't become a taboo subject anymore. So you tend to say, okay, money is not everything because I see it everywhere, so it's not a big deal. What is it that makes us happy or that makes us successful other than that? In some sort of weird way, it's a double-edged sword where it could be corrupting because you're like, no, I never have enough. And on the other hand, it could be like, well, that's not really what matters because everybody has it, so it's like a commodity. So,
And as long as my family is healthy as number one and I'm healthy and we're all alive, it should be the priority. Yeah, but it's crazy what Dubai does to people, honestly.
I mean, look, it's a double-edged sword. It's amazing because it keeps you ambitious and it keeps you motivated to grow and more and more and more. And on the other hand, you're just, if you're not smart about it, then you never think that you're successful because there's always somebody more successful than you.
You need to stay grounded.
You need to have a level head. I think you need to be level-headed, and you need to, and I think it comes, Mina, a bit with age as well. I wanted
to say that, do you think you've actually opened up something of your own at the right age?
It definitely comes with maturity, right? When you're mature, you start understanding a lot more things about life and about how, you got to stop chasing the dragon, as they say, and stop the rat race and always wanting more and more and more and more, especially when you have children. When you have children, you start saying, you know what, I want to spend a bit more time with them. I have enough to live comfortably.
Do you have children?
I have two young girls, yeah. They're Chloe and Stella. They're 1.5 and 5.5.
Oh, God bless.
We still say halves. Before 7, you always had.
Have you taken your paternity leave?
No. So
shame on you.
So that's actually a pet peeve of mine, paternity leave.
Really?
But it's part of the law. So we have some of the guys that take their paternity leaves. Yeah. See, here's one thing about that I always say about my work. I feel very fortunate and I feel lucky that I don't differentiate between my work and my life, right? And a lot of people will tell you the absolute opposite. I need to have a work-life balance. I think that I'm fortunate that I don't differentiate, or I don't see a difference between my work and my personal life.
Right.
I find them both to be one thing, right?
Well
so my work is part of my life. I could work 1 hour some days, and some days I'll work 15 hours, right? It all depends on what the needs are, or what kind of day I'm having. And when I'm home, it's not like I turn off my phone and work stops. Work doesn't stop for me. But also, I love my work, so it doesn't bother me.
There's no issue that.
So it doesn't bother me. it neither bothers me to work at 4 a.m. or at 3 a.m., nor do I feel guilty not working at 3 in the afternoon because I'm enjoying,
Right.
something with my kids. Because to me, I'm working 24 hours and I'm living 24
Right.
hours. So, and I think I'm lucky to have that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Would you say your girls completely changed your life?
Absolutely. I mean, 250 employees that report to me, and sometimes I would say it's inevitable, fear me or whatever, and these two little munchkins couldn't care less.
Right.
About,
They
I could
fully
raise
control you.
I could raise my voice, or I could listen. The younger one is a real devil, so she'll look at me and just smile. She's doing something,
yeah?
and I say, you can't do this, Stella. And she look at me, give me a big smile. What are you gonna do? And I just melt right there.
You just literally melt.
Yeah. So nature is made in a very odd
It's
way.
beautiful for a father to have two
Yeah,
daughters.
absolutely.
It's absolutely
Absolutely.
beautiful. Tell me one more thing. If I were to give you a time machine, go all the way back in time, what would you tell that younger version of yourself prior to all these experiences you've been through?
Good question. Everything comes in due time. Don't be rushed to be successful. Don't be rushed to make money. Don't be rushed for that promotion, for that. Enjoy, everything in life comes in its time. That's what I've learned, right? So I've been super entrepreneurial, super motivated, super ambitious since I graduated from university, right? So since I was 21 or 22. And I've always pushed. It's helped me improve, it's helped me progress in my career. But the Mark Zuckerbergs of this world are not the rule, they're the exception, right? So if you're going to start a business at 21, the odds that it becomes a unicorn are very, very, very low. Not because you're not good, because you've seen so little in life that there's so many pitfalls that you haven't explored, right? If I was to invest between a 21-year-old kid and a 44-year-old man, I would definitely back the 44-year-old man with all the experiences that he's had. So the first thing I would say is, look, don't rush things. Things come in their time. If you're doing the right things, and if you have the right mentality, and if you gain the right experience, you will be successful when in the right time. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would give as an advice: start investing very early. So I was
Stocks, you mean?
and everything. I'll tell you. But I was at 26 years old when I came to Dubai. In my opinion, I was making too much money for my age. And at 26, you don't have the maturity to say, okay, well, I want to think about retirement or about compounding or about these things. So you basically blow that money on going out and partying and traveling and buying cars and so on and so forth. If I had to do it differently, I would put some of that money into investments, whether it's in stock, I'm a real estate guy. I love my real estate. So whether in stock, real estates, bonds,
open up interactive brokers.
Invest with your companies, in your friends' companies or businesses or startups or whatever it is. And and don't regret anything. I don't regret anything I've done, by the way. So you're asking me what would I do differently?
Such a Lebanese thing to say.
Yeah, I don't, because look, I think it built my personality. All this partying and all that built my personality, built my network, built all that. But you're asking me if I went back, what would I do differently? Yeah. This is something I would do differently. I would start investing.
That's an amazing piece of advice, actually.
I would start investing at a very early age, something that they don't teach us in schools, unfortunately. And look, the power of compounding, and for those who don't know what compounding is basically when you start investing early and then you earn a return on that money, then you invest all that money and so on and so forth. It grows much faster than what you think of. If you're making 5% on your money, for example, it's not only 5% a year. It's 5%, then 5% on 105%, then 5% on 100, and whatever that has become, and so on.
At least you're beating inflation, if anything.
Look, even if it's a small studio, if it's $10,000 worth of stock, if it's whatever it is, just invest early, because once you taste the return of passive income, you will be encouraged to do it a lot more, and it will allow you. Look, I was fortunate because my career turned out very good, thank God, and financially I'm doing well. But it's not the same for everyone. So if you do it early, you give yourself much more chance to actually be stable when you come to your 30s or your 40s or whatever, and be happier and more stable and less worrying about the future. Especially in this part of the world where we don't have, well, mind you, in the West, these retirement packages are not great either. But at least you have some sort of social services. Where here you have to take care of yourself for the future.
It's like my grandparents always tell me, save and invest while you have the money, because when you don't have
It's
the
true.
money, you have nothing
And
to save.
it's absolutely
so.
true. Passive income is the best thing.
And
To
it's
build.
honestly not going to influence your life that much if you put away
won't.
maybe 20% of your salary
And
now,
the earlier
right?
you start,
Right.
the less expensive it costs you. So I started later. I started when I was 35 or 36. So I had to rush to actually make up the loss. So I had to put a lot more of my income into investments than if I had started at 20, where I would have put a small fraction of it.
Right, which would have grown by then.
Which would have grown by now, and would be the same result, but I would have,
Right. I have a question card here for you. It's actually like a fun
Rapid
game show
fire?
type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's called Founder Mindset and Growth Questions.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask you the questions. You can respond in a short and fast way, alrighty?
All right.
Question number 1. What's the hardest decision you've made as an entrepreneur?
Cutting salaries by 50% at COVID.
Question number 2. What keeps you up at night as a founder?
Everything. No, I mean, there's so many little intricacies in the business. Look, I have to make about between 10 and 15 decisions a day as a CEO.
Yeah.
So some things, it's so random, right? That something will come to my mind that I hadn't thought about during the day, and then I'll start analyzing it and solving it during the night. There's a lot of things that keep me up.
Right.
But with time and with experience, it keeps me up less and less.
Right. Perfect. How do you define success as an entrepreneur?
We've talked about that.
Talked about one. What's one trait every founder must have, in your opinion?
Determination.
What's your personal founder mantra?
Never give up.
Are entrepreneurs born or are they made?
Mix of both.
How do you handle fear of failure?
That's a good question. How do you handle fear of failure? By being overconfident. I consider myself to be sometimes an overconfident person because I think that I've had a legacy, or I grew up fearing failure. And I've built a shell.
Immunity.
I've built a shell that makes me sometimes overconfident. And for those who don't know me, I might appear as an arrogant personality because of it, but it's actually a defense mechanism which people don't know.
Oh, it's beautiful that you actually say it out loud.
Absolutely.
Like this.
Again, with age, you realize everything. Right.
Better to
Maturity.
speak about it.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest personal growth moment on this journey?
Definitely the exit, the sale,
Yeah.
the sale of Virtuzone, because we basically built something that was actually worth something that somebody else wanted. So it's very gratifying.
Great. How do you stay motivated when things get tough?
I've had many different times in my career where things got tough. I have, again, overconfidence helps you. The other thing is, I always believed for some reason that things are going to turn out okay. There was times in my life where I had 1,000 dirhams in my account, for example, and 5 days to go till payday, and I never was worried. There was something very weird that I never was worried that in the future I'll make money, I'll be fine, I'll be good. It was a weird kind of sensation. But then work-wise, you get, physically and mentally, mental health is a real issue, right?
Yeah.
And
we can do a whole podcast on this.
Yeah, we can do a whole podcast on it. I'll share this here because I think it's important for the listeners. I've consulted in times of where I realized that, this has been going on a bit too long. Like, we all have ups and downs. Like I said, ups and downs is normal. But at some point, it had gone on for 3 or 4 months where I was just unhappy. And I was unhappy with everything. I would realize that, I would buy an apartment. I wasn't happy. I love watches. So I'd buy myself a nice watch. I wasn't happy. We'd have an amazing month of work. I wasn't happy. And that's when I realized there was something wrong. And I went and I consulted with an actual professional. And I encourage people to do it if they feel that they can't handle them themselves. There's no shame to it. I think medicine has come a long way. Just like when you hurt your leg, you go to the doctor to x-ray it and get a treatment. When you hurt your mind, you need to get somebody to look at it.
But it's great to hear that somebody from your generation did it.
Absolutely.
Because honestly,
especially somebody Lebanese, by the way, because we have too much
If I
pride.
speak to my Serbian parents or my parents' friends about it, it's a big taboo topic for them.
No. Look, I'm very open about the
I feel like
subject.
us younger generations.
Yeah,
are
I'm
just
very
a bit
open
more
about the
to
subject.
talk
Look,
about it.
unfortunately, mental health issues have always been around. It's just that now we talk about them a bit more, right?
So life's a bit different now. It's not easy to live.
Yeah, it's not, but it was never easy to live, Mina. Believe me, right?
True.
But now it's with today's media, it's been a lot more dramatized. But before it was, hey, toughen up, get back to your desk, come on, and get on with it. Stop being this or stop being that.
Hide it.
Today it's like, I have mental health issues. I need to take 3 weeks off. So both aren't ideal, right? So the first one is not right
100%.
either. And the second one is, don't overdo it. And, you're probably dramatizing much more than you really are. So I think it's a personal thing. And I think we all have different pain thresholds when it comes to mental health. So read your body, read your mind, and react to it. Don't go running to a doctor at the first occurrence, and don't go running to a doctor because you're feeling down for 2 years or for 2 days or 3 days, right? But if you start feeling that it's handicapping you or it's really bothering you and it's constant and it's been a while and it's not going away and you've tried a few self-care things that don't work, then don't hesitate. Go see. That's what they're there for. They're specialists at that, and they've seen hundreds and thousands of cases, so they'll be able to solve your problems easier.
I absolutely agree with you, and thank you for speaking up about it.
No
because
worries.
honestly, coming from a man, Lebanese,
no worries.
40s, I guess.
Overconfident, Lebanese.
Last question. What did your first big mistake as a founder teach you?
Good question. So
Go back in time.
yeah, that's what I'm doing. So here's the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs or founders do, and I did it myself. They spend way too much money on the aesthetics of things rather than on the business
Substance.
of things. So my first company that I set up was here, where I was working for this medical equipment company, and I came to open an office here. We were partners in it. And I must have spent, and they gave me an investment to spend, and I must have spent 70 or 75% of the investment on the office. I get this desk.
You got excited.
Be a nice office, a nice location, be in the right size. I'm gonna have a PA, and we're gonna have salespeople. We're gonna have this. I never had a single client that visited me in the office. Not one. Not one. I'd like to say one. Not one. And I found myself with 75% of the investment gone. A beautiful office and no money to do any marketing or anything like that. So that's in my opinion, that's the biggest mistake that founders do, is that they spend the money on the aesthetics rather than on the substance, right? Keep your money, be very frugal with your money when you're starting a business, because you're gonna need it to grow the business. Right. So pay yourself less. Don't say, oh, it's my business, so I'm gonna have an amazing salary because I'm the GM of this business. Yeah, but you're alone. So keep the money for where it counts, for marketing, for sales, to hire good people, to hire talent people. And hire people that are better than you, always. Always try to hire people that are smarter than you. Don't be afraid of that. That's quite the contrary.
Never be the smartest person in the room.
Never be the smartest person in the room, absolutely.
George, we could go on for days, honestly.
We could.
Absolute pleasure speaking to you today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much. It was really lovely.
Thank you for coming. I'm very much looking forward to seeing this podcast come to life. And we wish you the best of luck. And whoever wants to open up a business in the UAE or beyond, he's your guy.
Thanks for having me, Mina. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.